Harriet Estelle Fisher was born in Iowa in 1869. She was the sixth of 8 children born to James and Nancy on the family farm. Here is Nancy and her 5 beautiful daughters. Harriet was often called Hattie. I love her braided hair in this photo. At age 20, Hattie married Charles Aikins, a carpenter, age 36. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any photos of Charles, but this photo is of his parents, grandmother, and younger brother. Exactly 10 months after their wedding, Hattie gave birth to a baby girl, who they named Lida Estelle. 14 months later, Cecile Harriet was born. Vera Alice was born 2 years later. Then, it was 13 years before Ilma Grace was born. 4 years later, Charles Robert was born, and the family was complete. In 1909, just a year before Charles was born, tragedy struck. Vera died at only 15 years old. Her obituary said she had a weak heart, due to an illness a couple of years before. The next few decades of life were busy for the Aikins family. When baby Charles was just a year old, the family moved to Montana, where Hattie would spend the rest of her life. Hattie and Charles were married for 40 years before his death in 1930. Charles was 79 years old when he died. He was riding on top of a load of wood when he fell off and the wagon ran over him, killing him instantly. Hattie lived for another 5 years before she died of chronic heart trouble in 1935 at age 65. The following excerpts are from her obituary, published in the local newspaper. Mrs. Harriet F. Aikins died at the home of her daughter, Mrs. J. W. Bowers, in this city early Tuesday morning, after a lingering illness of several months. Funeral services and burial were held in Melstone Thursday afternoon, where a large gathering of friends and relatives paid their final respects, and she was laid to rest beside her husband, who preceded her in death nearly 5 years ago. Harriet Fisher, daughter of James Marvin and Nancy Matilda Moore Fisher, was born in Cedar Valley near West Liberty, Iowa, on July 17, 1869. On November 27, 1889, she was married to Charles F. Aikins of West Liberty, and to them 5 children were born, one daughter, Vera, dying in young girlhood at their home in Iowa. In March of 1911, the family came to make their home near Melstone, Montana, where Mr. and Mrs. Aikins resided until the time of his death 4½ years ago. Mrs. Aikins died in Winnett, Montana, June 18, 1935, at the home of her daughter, Mrs. J. W. Bowers, where she has resided for the past number of months. A faithful wife, a kind and loving mother, an ever-helpful friend and neighbor, has passed on to her reward. Hattie's 4 remaining children all lived long lives, into their 70s and 80s. Thank you for taking a few moments with me today to remember Hattie's life.